During a cold winter patrol, an officer and his K9 partner stumbled upon a heartbreaking scene. Three helpless puppies hanging outside a shop with a sign that read, $1 for all. What happened next wasn't just a rescue. It was a powerful reminder of compassion that left everyone in tears. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Snowflakes drifted lazily from the gray sky, settling in soft layers across the quiet streets. Officer Daniels tightened his coat against the bitter wind, his boots crunching in the snow with each step. Beside him, Rex, his loyal German Shepherd K9 partner, walked proudly, his breath steaming in the frosty air. The town was unusually still that afternoon. Shop windows frosted over, doors shut tight, and only a few hurried figures passed by. Daniels scanned the streets out of habit, his eyes trained to catch even the smallest disturbance. Rex trotted, slightly ahead, nose low, ears twitching at every faint sound. It was supposed to be a routine patrol, just another cold day, ensuring the town stayed safe. But Daniels had learned to trust Rex's instincts above all else. The dog never ignored what others overlooked. As they rounded a corner near an old row of shops, Rex froze. His body stiffened, ears pricked forward, a low growl rumbling from his chest. Daniels frowned, following his partner's gaze. Something ahead had caught his attention. Something unusual, something wrong. Daniels followed Rex's steady gaze, his boots crunching deeper into the snow as he drew closer to the row of shuttered shops. At first, nothing seemed unusual, just an empty storefront with frost clouding the glass. But then his eyes landed on a cardboard sign taped to the window. $1 for all. Beneath it, three tiny German Shepherd puppies hung by their collars, suspended from hooks as though they were objects on display. Their little bodies shivered in the cold, their eyes wide with confusion and fear. One whimpered softly, the sound barely rising above the winter wind. Daniels froze, his heart slamming against his chest. For a moment, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Puppies, living, breathing souls, treated as if they were worthless trinkets. He glanced down at Rex, who growled low, his eyes locked on the trembling pups with a mix of protectiveness and fury. Anger surged through Daniels. In all his years on the force, he had seen cruelty, but nothing that cut this deep, nothing that made the world feel so cold. A creak echoed as the shop door opened, and a man stepped out, rubbing his hands together as though the freezing air didn't bother him. Daniels squared his shoulders, his fury barely contained. "Are those your puppies?" he demanded, his voice sharp and cutting through the silence. The man shrugged casually, glancing at the trembling pups as if they were nothing more than old merchandise. "Yeah, can't keep them. Figured I'd sell the lot for $1. Someone will take him eventually." His tone was flat, detached, like he was talking about scraps instead of living creatures. Rex growled louder, teeth flashing as he inched forward, only held back by Daniels' firm grip on the leash. The officer's jaw tightened. "You left them hanging in the cold like this? Do you have any idea what you've done?" The man smirked, unfazed. "They're just dogs. Not worth the trouble." Daniels felt his fists clench inside his gloves. Every instinct in him screamed to protect the helpless lives before him, and to hold this man accountable for his cruelty. Daniels stepped closer, his breath visible in the frigid air. "Listen to me," he said firmly, his voice edged with anger but layered with something deeper, desperation. "These aren't objects to sell. They're living beings. They're freezing, starving, and terrified. You can't just hang them up like decorations." The man chuckled dryly, shoving his hands into his pockets. "Nobody wants them. Too much trouble to feed. If someone's dumb enough to give me $1, good for them. If not," he shrugged, his indifference chilling Daniels more than the winter wind. Rex pulled against the leash, his growl vibrating through the silence, eyes never leaving the puppies. Daniels placed a steadying hand on his K9's back, but didn't soften his glare. "You don't get it, do you? Leaving them like this is cruelty. It's against everything decent. If you won't care for them, then let me." For a moment, the man hesitated, smirk fading as he met Daniels' fiery gaze. The officer's voice dropped lower, steadier. "I can't walk away. Their lives matter. Give them to me, before it's too late." Daniels didn't wait for another excuse. He pulled a bill from his wallet, shoved it into the man's hand, and turned away. Before hearing a reply, his focus was only on the 3 trembling lives hanging helplessly before him. With careful hands, he unclipped the thin collars one by one. The smallest pup whimpered as he lifted it free, its frail body curling into his gloved palm. Another licked weakly at his thumb, as though thanking him despite its shivering. One by one, Daniels tucked them inside his coat, holding them close to his chest. Their tiny bodies pressed against the warmth, clinging to the sound of his heartbeat. Rex moved in, sniffing each pup gently, his protective instincts taking over. He nudged one with his nose, then gave a soft whine, as if promising they were safe now. Daniels tightened his coat around the fragile bundle, his voice breaking into a whisper. "You're coming with me. No one's ever going to hurt you again." With his K9 at his side, he stepped back into the storm, 3 new lives resting against his heart. Snow whipped against the windshield as Daniels sped through the icy streets. One hand gripping the wheel, the other pressed against his coat where the puppies lay bundled inside. He could feel their tiny bodies trembling, their breath shallow. Against his chest, every second felt like it could be their last. Rex sat in the back seat, leaning forward anxiously, his eyes fixed on the coat as if willing the puppies to hold on. His occasional whines filled the silence, matching Daniels' pounding heartbeat. "Hang in there, little ones," Daniels muttered, his voice tight with urgency. Minutes later, he burst through the doors of the nearest veterinary clinic, coat still clutched tightly around the fragile bundle. 3 puppies, freezing, starving. "They need help now," he shouted. The staff rushed forward, carefully lifting the pups from his arms and placing them on a table under warm lights. Dr. Harris, the vet on duty, quickly checked their vitals, his expression grave. Severely malnourished, dehydrated there. Critical, but not gone yet. Daniels stood frozen, Rex pressing against his leg. The fight to save 3 lives had just begun. Hours dragged on inside the clinic, each minute stretching like an eternity. Daniels paced the hallway, his boots echoing against the tile floor, while Rex lay pressed against the exam room door, ears twitching at every faint sound inside. Neither of them could rest, not while the puppies fought for life. Finally, a soft whimper broke through the silence. One of the pups stirred under the warming blankets, its tiny paw twitching. Dr. Harris leaned over, adjusting the foreline. "That's it," he murmured. "Come on, little one." Another lifted its head weakly, letting out a fragile squeak. Daniels stepped forward, his breath catching as tears stung his eyes. He pressed a hand to the glass, whispering, "That's what I needed to hear." Rex's tail thumped once against the floor as he sniffed the air, sensing the change. The largest pup blinked open its eyes, cloudy but alive, and nudged against the vet's hand. For the first time since the rescue, Daniels felt hope blooming in his chest. They weren't safe yet, but for the first time, survival seemed possible. Days later, the clinic echoed not with fear, but with tiny yips and the shuffle of small paws. The 3 puppies, once lifeless and cold, now huddled together under warm blankets, their bellies full, their eyes bright with curiosity. Daniels stood in the doorway, a rare smile softening his face. Rex lay nearby, his head resting protectively close to the pups. When one stumbled forward and pressed its nose to his, he responded with a gentle lick, tail wagging softly. It was as if he had claimed them as his own. Dr. Harris approached, relief evident in his voice. "They've made it. They're weak, but they'll live." Daniels exhaled deeply, his shoulders sagging as the weight of worry lifted. Kneeling beside Rex, he whispered, "We did it, partner. We gave them a chance." The puppies yawned, curling closer together, safe at last. As he watched them drift into peaceful sleep, Daniels knew this moment would stay with him forever, a reminder that compassion, even in the coldest moments, can change everything.